Yeah, fuck everyone. Fuck every one of those things. Fuck you guys. Fuck everyone.
That's the first thing in the recording. Fantastic. See you Wednesday,
Excellent.
everyone. Fuck everyone. Cheers. All right. So this is session 15 of chapter 4 of Hell's Vengeance for Queen and Empire. I got all those words right. It took me a little bit to get them out, but I got them right.
GM of the year.
I'm the best. So who remembers what happened last session in session 14? Oh, Nero with the hand up. Yes.
Nero.
So Vors and Nero meet with Maisel and Ursula. They're lawyers. Nero talks law. Vors sizes up Maisel and Ursula. Ursula thinks that Nero's case was pretty ironclad. Then our accomplices are doing their best to delay the arguing of the case to try and find a loophole. Nero confesses that his goal is not to ruin the accomplices, but rather to gain ownership of the slaves and do only minor ruining. Nero lays out his argument. Ursula loves it. He gets an NDA and some gold exchanges hands. Vors and Maisel hang out once Vors figures out that she's interested in it. Nero mentions he might not personally prosecute it once the court's free up. Ursula's sad about it. Nero mentions that things move him around a lot, and we talked about teleporting a bit. Ursula is wholly interested in the law. It becomes apparent to Nero and Vors that she likes Nero for his law prowess. Maisel tries to make it appear she's fine with her job in the law and slavery, but she is not okay with that. Nero and Ursula bust out. Vors continues feeling out Maisel. This is when all the fluffing went on. She confides that the Order of the Scourge took her hand, quote, for lying, end quote, and when asked if it was worth it, quote, no, end quote. Dern goes to visit with his handler, with Bob and their slaves for some reason. It goes about as well as you expect. Dern promises a better report the next day after much chewing out by Nestheratrix. Bob and Dern return to whatever the name of the inn is, I forget.
Lawgiver's Rest.
Lawgiver's Rest, thank you. Nero returns. Thurn rushes him at the door, rambling about things in a very familiar way, and Nero has to ask a bunch of questions to understand what's happening. The TLDR version of this is that Dern hates Nestheratrix and would rather run with the party. Nero promises a write-up of what they're finding out in terms of the Bellflower stuff, and to see what he can do about handling Dern instead of Nestheratrix. Nero meets with Iwin. They have a very mobbish gangster talk with no specific names, places, etc. He tells her to meet with Vors about a job. Nero doesn't want to be involved. Vors brings Maisel back to the inn, and Nero is surprised by this because Dern is staying at the inn. Nero's doing paperwork. He talks to Vors in more gangster talk because Maisel knows Dern. Vors resolves to speak to Iwin. Nero changes the subject to slave purchases of Du Bois. Maisel is horrified. Nero assures her that he'll be doing the day-to-day because they won't follow through. Vors does Maisel, and then he sneaks out and recruits Iwin. We had to get to Merdiddly Erglin. Nero's visibly uncomfortable. He summons dogs to fight and make noise. He buffs everybody. Everybody heads in. Nero pumps in unnecessary summons. Dern knocks on the door, ends up smacking Niccolo immediately. The boys pour in. Niccolo tumbles back and summons a big old bone devil. Their cleric is on support. Vors comes in, and we find out that doggy doors come in giant size as a Nessian Warhound comes out and gets in his face. Bob steps away from the Bone Devil and smashes the dog for Vors. Dern smashes up the devil. Iwin smashes the cleric, and the summoned bearded devil crits Niccolo. The gang cleans up, learning that Iwin needs to learn to slot prestidigitation. Nero leaves disgusted with himself, but headed in a direction that would not be directly home.
All right.
Yeah. Can you throw Vors a little bit of invisibility?
A little bit of invisibility?
Like
Vors would like to be invisible.
But like,
Okay.
how
All the way
much?
back to the end.
okay, that's fine.
Cool. How long does it last?
11 minutes.
I think it's minutes. Right. Yeah.
That's long enough to get back to the end, right?
From where you started, probably not. I'd say it's probably like a 20-minute, at least 50 minutes. So you need to wait a little bit. But assuming you walked it there for a bit and then asked, yes.
Do you want to be invisible to get to the inn, or to get once you get into the inn?
Getting into the end.
Yeah. So fine. Once we get close enough.
And then can I like turn it off whenever I need to?
Iwin can dismiss it. You can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can attack something.
That's
attack
true.
someone.
you could attack someone to get it dismissed.
It's all fun and games until Iwin
Hit
can't
bomb.
cast dismiss on that thing or whatever.
But, like-
Don't hit me.
You just want to get back into the room and into the bed, right?
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, like just back into the room, or like back to the door. Like he doesn't want. He wants to minimize the chance of being seen because he's carrying the head of a son of a mare
Sure.
attached.
Dripping
Yeah,
blood.
that's
everywhere.
fine. So she can see you down the hall and dismiss it once you get inside the door.
Sounds good. As he's walking in.
All right. So all that happens, and again, it's about like 11:30. Everyone's back here, but Nero, you are taking a circuitous route for some reason.
Yeah, so Nero basically, part of his divination that he did during the day was to figure out a route where he would be possibly seen on the street on his way back from the Halfling warehouse. So he basically beelines to the Halfling warehouse, puts on his Signifer mask, walks around a little bit, and watches the warehouse for a few minutes, and then comes home. Yeah.
So you want to be seen without the mask and then put on the mask, or you want to be masked the entire time?
He'll be masked, and then we'll probably unmask on the way home and hope to be seen.
Okay. Trying to be noticed. All right. All right. Then you get home, so you get back a little bit later than everybody else because you're doing that for a while. So let's just say it's about midnight now, and everybody's at Lawgiver's Rest. Anybody doing anything else for the night? It is now Monday night. Turning into Tuesday morning.
I mean, or like sneaks back into the room and tries to not wake missile.
Make a stealth check.
Ooh. I think
And
it's.
are you invisible at the time of making the check? And Iwin's like watching you sneak in and dismissing it, or is she dismissing it like at the door when you're walking in?
I guess at the door.
Okay, so go ahead and make a stealth check. Yeah, and I roll secretly. I roll a thing. Yeah, so Maisel is still asleep when you get in there, and she has a penalty to her perception check, and she does not hear you come in. She does not wake up.
Go. Okay. Vors stashes the bag of holding somewhere safe. And yeah.
All right. Anybody else doing anything that night?
Tuck it in, my slave roommates.
Is anyone awake in Lawgiver's Rest when Nero gets back?
There are a couple of people in the like open kind of bar area, but not like a whole lot. But yeah, there are. Again, I'm too lazy to clear this out every time it changes. But
Sure.
let's just say there's like 3 people there.
Sure. Nero basically plops his new mask on the bar, and he is talking with them for a few minutes about how he's got a lead on some bellflowers and blah blah blah. He lets it slide a little bit, but keep it under your hat kind of stuff.
Okay. And when you were walking around trying to be seen with your signifier mask, did you also have your Godclaw shield or anything that identified you as Godclaw specifically, or just a Hell Knight?
No. Just basically he's walking around in a mask that's obviously him. So because the masks are all personal.
But is it like visibly a signifier mask? Like would people who know what Hell Knights are know, oh, that's a signifier's mask?
Yes, it's basically a featureless mask. It has no eye holes. It has no facial features at all. So it looks like a lump of metal to anyone who's looking at it.
Okay.
Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't, again, you're obviously you. You're going around and then you take off the mask. You're not trying to conceal it. So you're walking around, not explicitly Godclaw, but explicitly Nero.
Yes. So he's basically coming from an area that wouldn't be at the flat that they were at.
Okay, got it. And then you get back, and you're talking about digging up bellflowers.
Yes.
All right, that's all good. Anything else before the next day? Anybody? Okay. It is Tuesday morning. It is now 8 days since you've been here. You arrived here last Monday. The rave is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. is the earliest you can go, but fashionably late is always awesome. What do you want to do on Tuesday? You wake up and Maisel is still there.
Bob wakes up kind of excited
Good.
because of what has happened.
What has happened?
And whatever, the murders. Anyway, Bob wakes up kind of wired. He walks into Corey and Rona and says, hey, what do you guys want to do today?
Corey and Rona are here, by the way. They have tokens now.
Oh, excellent. Because they're going to be important.
Yeah, they're going to be important.
They're not going to die right away.
They're not going to... Well, I mean, now if they need to die right away, there's statistics for how they die.
Excellent.
Dern flips over and says, aren't we buying a warehouse today? Are you dressed for it?
Michael isn't. I can be very quickly.
He's asking Bob.
Bob is dressed for it. Bob is ready to go buy a warehouse.
Are you dressed in your Hell Knight regalia, or your anti-paladin regalia, or
Yes.
are you?
Yeah, I've got the hammer. I'm serving a Moloch. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Okay. So Corey and Rona again are just more confused than anything. They don't understand what's going on. What exactly did you fill them in on? So you had time, you bought them and walked back. So what did you?
I told them when I bought them and gave them a gold, I was like, "We're going to start a distillery. You will not be enslaved. You will work at the distillery with us."
And they seem confused. They say, "So we're free?"
Well, you're going to work at the distillery. I've heard that you're both very good at this. I will pay you fairly to work here.
And Corey looks at Rona and looks back at you and says, "But we don't have to."
No, you have to.
Yeah.
So
You have to. There's no-
so Rona says, "So we're not free."
You're not free, but I'm
No.
going to pay you.
Corey looks confused and says, "What can we do with the money?"
Everything short of buying yourselves.
And they look at each other again, confused and just trying to understand what's happening. And we'll be running a brewery, and they both look at each other. Distillery.
We're going to make Chach.
Okay, so Rona laughs that you're gonna be making shots. He's like, "I don't." He looks at Corey to confirm, like, we have no idea how to make chach.
Well, Dern has it on good authority that you two know about alcohol.
Dern says, "You better learn," and he intimidates them.
Okay.
Bob looks at Dern and says, "What the fuck? You said they knew."
Yeah, because Dern's gonna look like an idiot now if he bought some shitty slaves.
So you terrify them. They back up, and they're very visibly afraid of you. You're a very imposing halfling in a nice fine vest. And they come back and they say, "We'll learn. We'll figure it out. What do you need us to do?"
Well, you're going to talk to the man.
Who's the man?
It's always been Dern. It's a running thing now.
And Corey asks, but where's the boys?
Yeah, we're all the boys. Dern's the man.
Corey seems confused.
Dern looks a little confused too, but he says, "Yeah. We'll go buy the property and then we'll get some books. I know a guy who knows about books."
They both shrug because they're literally your property, and they will follow you. All right, so Bob and Dern, you're going with him.
To buy the property? Sure, why not?
Okay, and you're taking your halflings with you.
Yeah. They're not okay on their own. Someone else may free them, like Nero.
All right. So
Well, I mean, again, I don't want to make it seem like they're slaves. Like, they are working for me. They are not allowed to not work for me, but I'm paying them. They get to choose their hours. They can work from home.
they can work from home at a distillery.
They
How's
can
that
use
gonna work?
Zoom.
Because they're going to live in the distillery. We're going to touch on that once I buy the distillery.
Dude, you're in 1840s Arkansas. It's fine. You're
Yeah,
fine.
you're an anti-paladin.
Everything's fine.
You can do all this.
No, he's told them they're free, but also not free. They can work from home, which is where they work.
It's diet freedom.
Diet freedom. Freedom 0. Okay, so Bob and Dern are going to do that. What is everybody else doing in the morning while Bob is looking for a real estate agent?
Nero's waiting for Mazel to leave so he can talk to Vors about what's going on.
Okay. So Mazel wakes up with the Vors. What are you doing or saying as you wake up?
Good morning, probably.
Morning. And she seems happy.
Yeah. What day? It's Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. All right. My voice just like ask her what time she has to get to work. Yeah.
She shrugs, says, I don't really have to get to work at all. It's selling contracts. It's whenever I get around to doing it.
Like, okay. I think I'm gonna meet somebody at about 10. So you have time for breakfast if you want. Kind of over this place. Been here about a week. Do you want to go to like somewhere else down the street?
Yeah. She nods, and again, she seems very happy and almost excited to go with her breakfast. Yeah, so she nods, says, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great." And as you're walking away, she basically explains to you that she does work whenever she wants, but late morning, early afternoon is prime time. There are some people that get to the slave market very early in hopes of getting like their pick of the fresh slaves, but that's not like she doesn't bother going there every morning like that. So she's happy to have breakfast with you.
All right.
So you're going to walk away with her and presumably go to breakfast. And Nero, you are waiting to talk to Vors. Are you going to stop him on the way out or anything?
I mean, I guess not.
Okay.
Vors, when you have a minute?
Yeah. We're just gonna grab breakfast, and then I'll be back right after that.
All right.
Mazel looks at you, Vors, and is trying to suss out. She looks at you and looks back at Nero, and looks back at you, and you very easily get the feeling like she's kind of inferring, do you think it would be rude to invite him to dinner? Does she think it would be rude to invite him to breakfast? Does Vors want to have breakfast with her alone? Because she seems interested in Nero. Like, as you're walking by and Nero just sticks his head out of the bedroom, you watch it, she's like, oh, can Nero come too? Like, her eyes are saying, can Nero come too?
That's fine. Cool with that.
Yeah, so basically you two exchange glances, and she gets the feeling that that's what's happening, and she looks and invites Nero. Would you like to join us? It's just down the street, he says.
I hadn't thought about it. Vors?
All right, yeah, if you haven't eaten.
Sure.
All right, so Vors, Mazel, and Nero go to breakfast. Vors is hurt. I assume Nero would have just healed him, though.
Yeah.
You had more than enough spells, and he slapped, so I'm just going to go ahead and heal him to full. All right, so you guys are all going to breakfast. Bob and Dern have their adventure ahead of them. Iwan, what are you doing?
So Iwan would open the door and grab her breakfast, which she's now having put outside her door every morning, and would basically like go try to peek in Nero's room because she presumes that he divined for her and wants answers, but seeing that he's not there, to go over, look out, see him at the table with Vors and Mazel, curse under her breath, and then grab her breakfast, go back in her room, and start reading through the book again, waiting until he frees up.
Okay. So they did go to another place. So you watch as they leave the place together.
Okay.
You look out the window and you see them leaving to go to breakfast.
Okay.
But yeah, so you go back to your tomes. And let's jump to everybody's favorite side plot. Robert the Zoob is trying to buy a Chotch distillery in this town of Agorian, the city of Agorian.
Now, trying implies that I could fail.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, have you succeeded at any venture outside that we've done?
Naz, I'm gonna do something right, goddammit.
Alright, I don't have music for a real estate transaction, so I'm just gonna play the regular Agorian music, which someone has already criticized me for using.
What?
I use Baldur's Gate music. It's like just random city music.
Yeah.
It's like you use Baldur's Gate for like the capital of the evil world, and I got crapped on YouTube.
There's a new Baldur's Gate game coming out.
Who was giving you shit about that?
I think it was Kish. I forget. I apologize if I got the person who gave me shit about it. But it's like, it's heresy that you use that music for the city. So it goes. All right. So Robert, the Zoob, and Dern, and your two slaves, Corey and Rona. What do you do? How do you set out to find a real estate agent? What does Bob do?
I assume we would have asked the maitre d' if we,
Okay.
if he knew a real estate agent.
And he says, "Oh, is this for the distillery we had talked about?"
Of course.
Remember, you wined and dined him.
Yes, we did. We're friends. We're buddies. We're good buddies. We're gonna make that relevant today.
Yeah, and he nods, says, "Yes, I didn't know much about that before, but I had looked into it for you." And he asked you if there's a specific neighborhood you're interested in opening your distillery in.
Preferably one that won't get pillaged or robbed. We're looking for a safer neighborhood that our employees feel comfortable going to.
He nods, and he asks, last we talked, I wasn't sure, are there fumes or smoke or anything distasteful about the production of Chotch?
It really smells primarily, I assume there are cherry trees here. It smells like cherry.
He says, then you should have your choice of the neighborhoods, then. It all depends on what you're willing to pay for the space.
The smallest amount that meets the minimum requirements I've given you.
He says, that's not for me to know, really, but...
Industrially zoned.
Yeah, industrially zoned that we can also leave 2 slaves in.
With a 10% office space provision.
He chuckles and says, you can leave slaves wherever you want. That's the beauty of slaves.
I'm new to this.
New to slaves?
Yes.
I was like, oh, they're marvelous.
Do you own yourself?
No, but Lady Lavasvia, she owns many. And
This is Michael asking. This is Michael asking. How much were the slaves were each? 25.
The labor slave Corey was 25. You paid, was it 50 or 75? I forget.
I thought it was 50. I thought the total was 75.
Okay, then you paid 50 for Rona because she is a slightly more intelligent slave.
So this man does not own slaves, but likes wine that costs the same amount as a slave.
I think it was even more than a slave. Wasn't it how much was the wine?
It was a 25 gold bottle of wine.
Yeah. Well, he didn't pay for it. You paid for it. He loves
Yeah,
drinking
but
expensive
he
wine
had
in his
it
tab.
before. Okay, fine.
He got it for you, and you offered him a glass, and he's like,
Maybe I'll get him
I'll
a
have
slave.
that glass.
Maybe I'll get him a slave. We'll see how it goes. All right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a maitre d' at a high-end inn or tavern.
Right.
Right now, they're basically just housing any Thrune agents that were assigned to them, but this is like a high-end, like, traveling merchant sort of tavern. So, like,
Okay.
when the queen doesn't summon people to town, this is a high-end establishment. They have nice wines, and Lady Lavasvia takes care of her help. So he's not a rich person by any means. He doesn't own other sentient beings, but he has had good wine in his life, and he appreciated that you gave him some.
Okay.
And so he says, I know a pretty good realtor if you're looking for what you've described. Sounds like somewhere in the Five Favors or Thorntown. I believe this guy can hook you up, and he hands you a card.
Okay.
We want a sassy and flamboyant realtor.
He shakes his head and says, sassy, yes. Flamboyant, no.
That was Thorntown or what?
Thorntown, Five Favors, because you don't want poor places, is basically what I heard.
Right.
So, Five Favors, Thorntown, Suitor's Cross, Parlay Circle.
Okay.
And he lists a bunch of neighbors. He says, this guy will know what you want. Like, basically, you're not looking for a slumlord. You're not looking to get crappy real estate in a crappy part of town. So this is the guy you want. And he hands you a card. And the card says, Paulie Italian Guy.
Yes!
And it has an address.
We know the Italian Guy family.
It has an address in the Five Favors district.
Okay.
All right. So Dern, Bob, and their slaves Corey and Rona head to the Five Favors district. And you reach the building, and you go inside.
A question before we go into this transaction.
Yeah.
How much revenue can this thing generate? Like, we should probably know, considering the lease, right?
Are you buying the property or are you leasing the property?
We're leasing this property.
Oh god, I have to figure out how leases work. Great.
What's the interest rate? Is it a recession? Is there a plague?
No, but there is a civil war going on. You may have noticed. That's kind of affecting the economy a little bit.
All right.
Interesting.
To be fair, they're not doing a very good job, and this plucky bands of anti-heroes are stymieing them at every turn. But there is a civil war. Like, it's an active, ongoing civil war. They've lost the city of Sonara. It's fallen completely. They had to retreat. The Empire had to retreat from it. It's very...
So what you're saying is if things continue to go south, then we might not need to pay the rent on this place.
I mean, someone's gonna want the rent. If nothing else, Agorian and Cheliax is a nation of laws, an empire of laws and ledgers, and yes, someone will come looking for you for this money. That's very true. So both of you neither of you have profession brewer. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, so both of you just roll a d20. So you're basically asking how much can a brewery make? And none of you have any idea about how brewery works.
Fucking right, bud!
That's pretty good. Broke Computer Bob rolls an 18. And I have to fix that button. You rolled a 10. Yeah, so Dern, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea how breweries work or how much they're supposed to generate.
It's fitting.
So, Bob, you do believe that breweries take a while to get running. Like, you have to actually start distilling things, and it takes a bit of time to get up and running. But depending on how many tanks and things you have, you can have... It's not massive amounts of gold. It's 3 or 4 gold, like, a week. It's not massive quantities of gold, unless you have, like, a very large operation.
And that's of profit?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Perfect.
But you do have to. Well, that's profit. That's assuming you own the building. So if you're leasing, you're going to be paying whatever the leasing rate is.
Right. But wages are in there and cost of goods sold.
Wages for your slaves.
Early fucking slaves.
Right, so
I said we would pay them fairly. Now that we know those numbers,
yeah,
we'll figure it out. They're not going to figure shit out.
Well, again,
how robust is the supply chain? How much risk is there in that?
It's a wonderful question. I don't know. Yeah, they have done absolutely no research walking into this business, so I don't have to have done research.
It's like every startup ever.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. I have some money. I'm going to throw the money at it, and it's going to work.
We're using slaves, which is like machine learning, so it's going to do well.
Do we need a business license or anything? Do we need anything stupid before we get in trouble?
What do you mean?
Like, does Bob, before opening a distillery and, like, selling Chosh, need, like, a tax ID?
Yes. If you hover over the slaves, if you look at their label, it says property of El Zub Choch Distilleries LLC.
Okay, perfect.
I assume Nero would help you with all the paperwork, but yes, basically you can do what you want, Nagorian, but there is a form for everything. There is a tax for everything, and you would know that, Nero would know that.
Okay.
And if you were serious about this, yes, you would be organizing those documents.
I just want to make sure that, like, we're not committing a tax fraud here.
Correct, yeah. You're aware of all that.
Okay.
All right, let's get to this real estate.
So you enter the building, and there's a real estate agent handout here. And you are face-to-face with Paulie Italian Guy, the real estate agent. And he looks at both of you and your two slaves, and he says, "How can I help yous?"
Bob reiterates to the new person. We're looking to buy a factory that we want to turn into a Chach distillery. We don't want to spend too much money. We want to lease it. We're not looking to spend too much money, but we're looking to not be in a shitty neighborhood.
Chach? Is there money in Chach?
I believe there is. At the end of the day, I really just want my name on a bottle.
And he says, there's vineyards throughout all of Cheliax. You don't want to make wine? All the
No.
nobles here drink wine.
And there's vineyards all the way throughout Cheliax, yes. How many distilleries are there?
Who the fuck drinks Chach?
It's an opportunity.
Who you selling Chach to?
Well, we don't know, the bars.
I don't think I've ever had Chach in my life.
You will when we're done. I'll take your number. We'll still be talking.
This is a good investment opportunity, Polly. You're in a new market.
It's not just going to be Chach. This is Michael now asking. Is there like a whiskey equivalent where like Scotch is?
You can just say whiskey. You don't have to make it a Cheliax branded whiskey.
We're really making whiskey. We're just gonna brand some of it as Chach.
He shakes his head, and you can tell, and also you would know, that like that sort of alcohol isn't really favored among the wealthier people in town. And you get the opinion that this guy doesn't think this is a very good investment, but he shakes his head and he doesn't care. He's going to sell you property.
No, he's gonna lease us property.
Well, he's going to try to sell you property. He says, "So where are you looking? Where you want to open this?"
Well, I've been told that Thornton, Five Favors, Suitor's Cross, or Parlay Circle might suit my needs.
He says, and what do you need? You said you're opening a distillery?
It's gonna be a distillery. It's not gonna smell too bad. It's really gonna smell like cherry.
What's involved there? What kind of space does a distillery need?
We really just need a big old empty space.
Big old ain't a measurement. What kind of space do you need?
Is this a metric place or is this a imperial place?
Let's go with imperial.
Oh, I'm gonna need about, I'd wager 200 feet yonder by about 60 feet this way.
And
that's
tall,
for what?
I think, right?
Yeah, and tall.
Okay, and that's for what? That's for the tanks, or what do you do in that space?
Well, we're gonna have the tanks, obviously, and then we're gonna need some kind of auger to bring out the wood chips from the process.
What about storage?
Well, there's obviously storage in there along the walls. That's why I gave you the 60 feet sideways.
Along the walls? That doesn't sound up to code.
Code?
What if
What
there's a
code?
fire?
Then the alcohol building is gonna have a problem.
What about the people in the alcohol building?
They're two slaves.
And he looks behind you and he sees 3 halflings. Like, you mean 3?
This guy's the man.
What does that mean?
Polly,
He's,
I'm the man.
he's cool. He's the man. Don't worry about him. He's fine. He's
He
probably
looks-
not gonna be worried.
He looks at all of you, and again, so you're dressed much nicer than Corey or Rona. And he looks you over, and you've got a giant sword on your back, and he shrugs. He says, "So, you got a bar here?"
No, we don't have a bar. We're trying to supply all of the bars in the area.
He says, okay. And he says, I think you're gonna need more space than you think for the storage. I don't know how much you've thought about this, but it seems like if you're producing Chach, you're gonna need a place to put it. I don't think you just line it up against the walls of the distillery.
Well, all the distilleries I've seen have been about 50 feet long and about 30 feet wide. And I said 200 by 60. So I think we're doing okay.
It's like, all right. And where were you looking? You were looking somewhere in Thornton?
Is there an industrial park in Thornton?
And he shrugs, says, "It's all just fucking land. What are you talking about, industrial park?"
I'm looking for I don't want to build a building. I'm looking for a building to just go into. That's empty.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we know this other place. If you could take me there and maybe get it for me.
What do you mean? What other place?
Come on. Michael doesn't know this. Where is the Halfling warehouse?
There's a warehouse in, is it Dice End or Long Market? No, Bilgetown, south of Bilgetown, or east
Yeah.
of Bilgetown.
I've asked Nas 4 times where the place is, but he's not at his computer.
It's on the map. can see a warehouse with halflings? Question. Nas is flipping you the bird.
Over here, warehouse of halflings, wherever that might be.
No, that has too much history, too much baggage. Don't worry about that.
What kind of baggage
All right.
you got?
Polly, just focus on this. Don't get this guy railroaded.
All right, fine. So let's try. Which would be the cheapest of the 4 places that we talked about?
All the places you said ain't cheap. Those are nice neighborhoods.
Polly, what's the rent? Come on.
Polly, what's the rent for what I talked about? In
Rent?
The
What do you mean rent? And he's like, you want to buy the building or what?
No, I'm
You gonna
looking around. I'm
finance
looking
the
around.
building?
We're looking to start. Maybe we'll do a rent and then we'll turn that into a rent to buy.
And he shakes his head. He's like, I don't rent properties. I sell them. What do you want?
I'm looking to rent a property. I need to own my token, please, so I can intimidate Polly.
How are you intimidating him?
I'm gripping the hammer and kind of like raising it a little bit, and I'm saying, I need.
Raising a hammer. Okay.
I'm not raising it. I'm
You
gripping
said
it.
raising a little bit, is what you said.
A little bit, yeah, like I'm raising a beer a little bit.
You've
Drinking.
drawn
gripping it.
a hammer. You're
Alright,
in
you're
business
gripping your hammer.
negotiation.
No, I've
and-
always got the hammer when I'm talking about the distillery, because the slogan for the distillery is going to be "Get hammered on Bob L. Zoob's old
You
fashioned."
never said any of that. So you're
Yeah,
drawing
I
your
have.
hammer.
I have a whole thing. I have a logo already. I'm waiting for you to let me do the goddamn thing.
I'm trying very hard.
He's put work in.
All right. I am looking to rent a distillery.
And you can tell that Paulie is visibly shaken by this. And he's like, listen, I don't rent distilleries. I don't know what you want from me, but I can hook you up with people who own buildings who want to get rid of them. Like, I'm not in the leasing business.
Well, how much are we talking here?
He's
Do
like,
you also know like a loan shark?
Whoa.
why do you need a loan shark? And he looks at you. And again, you're wearing armor worth thousands of gold. Just for
This is Michael speaking. I don't know how much gold I actually have. Do I have enough gold to buy the thing?
How much is the building, Polly?
the answer is yes.
No, you spent all your money on a cloak that makes you displace at will.
That you forget to talk about all the time.
Yeah, that's totally amazing. You have that.
So he says if you're looking in where did you say you wanted to go? Thorntown. Or if you look in those neighborhoods you mentioned, and you're looking for the brewery and the storage space size you mentioned. So
How much are we talking here, Polly?
he says like 650 gold.
Wait, Bob, one sec. And Dern looks through his ledger, and he pulls him down, and he's like, "Yo, we made a lot of money off killing that guy. I think you can afford it. Bargaining."
I know we can afford it, but we gotta pretend like we can't, so that he goes down.
Okay, you do it.
Like 650? Alright, show me what you got for 650, but I want you to really show me what you got in the area. Like, show me the whole thing. Show me everything you got over there.
Polly, he spent his money on these stupid slaves. We need something cheaper.
I got these
How
two
much can you
idiots.
send on a couple of slips? He says, and then notices that you are a halfling. Like, he kind of just he for a moment he pauses, but realizes he doesn't ultimately care. How much can you pay for a couple of slips?
Let's not get hung up on what I spent on these stupid things. I know this is not the only stupid thing I've done this month.
Corey and Runner behind you, just looking depressed. These stupid things.
I'll turn around and be like, "Don't worry, it's part of it. It's part of it."
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'll take you around. I'll show you a couple of places, but like 650 is a going rate. I can find.
All right. Well, I mean, listen. There's a war going on. You're telling me Chach isn't that profitable, and these people are sitting on shit that they got to get rid of.
He looks at you and says, I don't give a shit what you do with the building. I'm just selling the building.
Fine. You're
That's
gonna
not
get
my
your
problem.
cut.
That's
You're
your
getting your
problem.
cut no matter how we cut this. All right. Don't worry about it. They're the people that are gonna get fucked on this.
Who's the people that's gonna get fucked?
The people that own the building. Polly,
I
what do you
represent the
think
people
about
that
here?
own the building. What are you talking about?
Polly, don't worry about it. We got you. You're our boy.
He looks at you. What are you talking about?
I flip him a gold.
That's nothing to a real estate agent, but he
I don't
takes
give a
it.
shit. Let's go.
He takes your money, and he takes you to nice places in Thorntown, Five Favors, Triumph, basically around here. Those are nice places, and Suitors Cross. So kind of places near the center of town, the south center of town. And he takes you to 3 different buildings. And they're all about the same. So they're all about the dimensions you've asked for. It's basically a lot of empty warehouses and one old restaurant that was closed down that you believe would be easy to kind of gut. But he shows you, yeah, he's got a bunch of properties that he's associated with, and he shows you them. And
which one do I feel has the best, like, trade route next to it?
Trade route?
Like, if I wanted to ship my chotch to local bars.
I mean, there's bars everywhere. All the neighborhoods have bars.
Right. So we're saying that we're over here primarily.
Well, again,
right?
so again, you're the entire southern part of the inner circle, outside of the actual grid.
And then they all have approximately the same transportation setup.
Yes, but at the same time, you believe that Chach is not a high-end beverage. You believe that the nobles of Cheliax have, at least without convincing, will not drink Chach. So if you were over here in Thorntown, like, this is like the nice high-end like villa area of town, like super rich people, and Thorntown and Suitors Cross and Briar Patch are upper middle class people. So you think that maybe Five Favors might be better because these crappy neighborhoods over here near the pier would have workers that might be drinking Chach.
All right, I would like to ask a question as Bob. Is there anything that I can distill that is relevant to the richer people?
They drink wine. All of Cheliax nobles, they are all about wine from different vineyards all throughout Cheliax. There's big, wide plains where they have different grapes, different seasons.
All right,
they are all about wine.
I'll tell you what. Then we're gonna take a place. How much is the place over in Five Favors in that shit ass neighborhood?
Roll a dice. 625 gold.
625. Paulie, you're breaking my balls here.
It's like, that's not me. That's what the guy wants. What do you want?
Can I meet the guy?
And he looks around and says, "What do you hope to do by meeting the guy? That's not how this usually
I
goes."
want to knock him down. I'll give him 6. Give him 6 today, cash.
It's all cash. What do you mean? We don't work on credit here.
I mean, everyone works on credit. Come on, Paulie. It's whatever year it is.
Well, that's the winner.
So you're offering 6 on 625, and 25 gold is a lot of money to like commoners and even middle class people. 25 gold is a lot, but to like a wealthy person, 25 gold is not all that much. So toss me a diplomacy check, Bob.
Oh, fuck me.
Come on, Bobby.
Because you're not.
Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah. So that you succeed. So he's negotiating with you, but you're like, hey, this is what it is. I'm offering cash. I'm offering, right now. And you actually pull out the coins. Like you take out some platinum pieces from your bag, and you're like, right now, money on the table. What'd you say, 600?
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I think we can work with that.
All right. Well, that sounds good then. Bob shakes his hand.
Yeah, he does. He takes it.
All right, that's it.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Yeah, exactly. Pleasure doing business with you, bud.
He nods, and he
Tell the
takes...
people about Chach, Polly.
So I ain't
Good
telling
shit.
people about anybody about shit.
Polly, tell the people about Chach. And the intimidation.
Are you intimidating Paulie? What are you doing here? I did spend 601 gold doing this stupid thing.
This is Chris asking Michael, how long do you have to age Chach?
Do I know this? I assume I know this.
Why do you assume you know anything about making shots, anti-paladin with low intelligence?
Because you told us that we knew it took a little while to do.
You assumed it would take a while to do, yes.
Are you drinking whiskey? Are you drinking whiskey right now, Michael?
Me? I did drink whiskey, and now the bottle's empty.
How
What's
many
the
years
big-
would it have
what's-
aged?
What's the big number on the bottle, Michael?
5 to 21.
They've made 149 batches in 2 years, so I can't imagine it's that long.
It's a long time.
That's the rate of production. That's not how long
It says 2 years, so it takes 2 years to make, actually, on the back of the bottle.
That's a 2-year vintage. So not only are you making shots, you're making really shitty shots. and you're trying to sell it to nobles in Shellyax. So Dern, you successfully inseminate him. You can tell he's definitely afraid of you. He's like, I don't know what you want to hear, but like I don't think anybody's gonna drink this shit. But again, not my problem.
It's not shit.
Polly, just come by when we're open. I'll come visit you. You try it, please.
Polly, well, can we get your card, your number, whatever
You
we have?
you literally have his card.
His number?
You have his card and his address. He doesn't have a phone.
Polly, in 2 years from now, you'll see. You'll see what happens.
It's like, you give me a bottle, I'll drink it, but she just waves his hands in the air. Like, this is not for me. And again, he's got his money, he's done. He's walking out the door unless you stop him.
No, that's cool. What was the name of the guy who I bought the place from?
Oh, God, I don't know. I'll make a note to give you the name, but I don't have it.
Alright, that's fine.
Peter, property owner.
I just want to remember to send Peter, property owner, a bottle of Chach when we get going here.
In like 2 years.
I don't know.
Bob, you didn't tell me this would take 2 years to produce. That's crazy.
I didn't know.
How are you going to float it for 2 years?
Darn, we're gonna have to go kill some people. I don't know what to tell you.
Float what? You own the property, you own the slaves. That's.
I mean, float the slaves. Like, you're trying to keep them.
Fuck the slave.
You gotta feed them. It's cheap.
We're distilling rotten fruit. They can eat that, can't they?
All right, Bob. All right.
I mean, I don't know. You tell me. You were one. How'd you live?
Bob, I wear a tuxedo. I live very well. I live much better than anyone.
I don't think these guys are going to be wearing tuxedos.
All right, well, let's talk to someone else about this after. We have a property. We're good. That's great. Let's stop there for today.
Worst case is that we use this as our new hangout.
Yeah, we might have to use it for other things, like a escort house. What are they called?
A brothel.
A whorehouse.
A whorehouse.
They call them escorts in Canada. They're very polite up there.
Yeah,
They're very polite. Also, Dern, just for reference, you were not always wearing a tuxedo. You have a backstory you can draw upon, should you want to.
I do. Right now, I'm Dern with tuxedo.
Fair enough. All right, yeah. So Paulie, Italian guy, is gone. He's taken his 600 gold in platinum pieces, and is going.
Paulie, Italian guy didn't get the 600 gold. He got some portion of that, I assume.
No. You own the building. It's over. He's taking the money. You're going to own the building.
Right, but I bought it from Polly property owner, or whatever the fuck his name, Peter property owner.
I think.
Well, he's
Paulie's
taking all the coins. He's taking the coins. He's going to give it to Peter property owner.
I think his cut's in there.
No, but Peter property owner was sitting at the table. That was how the negotiation happened.
No, he didn't.
Why is Polly taking the?
The nobles in Shellyax do not.
Polly's gonna scam this guy, but whatever.
What
Well,
fucking realtor have you ever worked with where the owner is sitting at the table with you when you buy the property?
I mean, that's
don't
what
know what
I
you're
rolled that
talking about.
20 on my diplomacy for,
When
right? That was how we got that guy sitting there.
When I signed my final
common.
documents, they were there. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty common in commercial property too. Like
Yeah.
when we signed the lease, like with my company, like the leadership from both companies went out to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, like every time I've been at a lease signing for a corporation, yeah, like the same thing's happened.
Yeah.
So.
But nobles in Shellyax are not going to deign to talk to somebody buying a fucking warehouse from them. They've outsourced all that. So Paul the Italian guy is the guy that was doing that. So he's not. They're not going to have like the actual property owner showing up. Most of the land in Agorian is owned by wealthy families who don't give a shit as long as they get what they think is theirs.
So we just established in the lore the house of Peter, or the house of property owner.
Yes, I feel like I should really change that to be a thematic name, but Peter Property Owner does sound kind of cool.
So it sounds apt for everything we've done to this point. So
Peter of House Property Owner.
On the way back.
Yeah.
On the way back, Dern goes to Bob and says, like, listen, I know nothing about finances, but I think you need to speak to Vors and maybe Iwan and maybe Nero on how we can make this thing like survive, because it's gonna bleed money.
it's not gonna bleed that much money.
Well, I mean, you don't actually have any of the distillery equipment yet either. You just bought a giant room For what
I know
that's
what we
worth.
got. I know what we got.
You know what you've got? Okay.
We're halfway there, bud.
Oh my god.
Your
Let's go
slaves are
drinking.
following you around with a gold in each of their pockets, totally confused and just mystified at what they've seen.
Oh yeah, I would also like to apologize to Corey and Rona right now. I'm like, I'm sorry I called you things. Like I had to play it up for the guy.
And so Rona seems to just kind of nod and accept that, and Corey, in a moment of boldness, asks, "Why?"
Well, you see, I'm trying to make a better life for you and the other halflings, and myself also, and the rest of the world by getting them drunk, and that man was going to try to fuck us out of 25 gold.
He looks at you and says, "And calling us things helped that?
Yes, I saved us 25 gold. I'm sorry.
How did that do that?
How long have you been a slave?
All my life."
This is normal for us.
He looks confused. He's like, I know I'm a slave. I've been called a thing before, but... He looks at you, Dern. He says, why is he apologizing for it?
These people I roll with are different.
People? He looks at you and says, who else? Who else do you roll? You roll with? He seems confused.
No, no. They certainly would have encountered Nero and Vors.
that
and
never,
maybe I
that
would
never
win.
happened. That you.
They were sleeping in Dern's room in Lawgiver's Rest. Yeah.
There was never
I
a
don't
scene.
think I've
It was
gone
late at
visit,
night.
though.
You put them down. There was
We
never
told-
like a scene
we
where
told ghost
Forrest talked
stories.
to them
I
or
put
Nero
them-
talked to them.
All right, that's fair. We were only telling them
He
ghost stories.
says, like Bob's colleagues. I don't know. People I work with, I guess.
We try to be better.
Better
I
than
don't
what?
know. Better than your previous slave owners.
And you can see that Rona is like shooting daggers at Corey, like, shut up, it sounds like we've got a good thing going. And Corey looks, again, more confused than anything. He's like, I just don't under... And he sees Rona staring at him and he shuts up.
I assume you two have been beaten historically.
Corey nods.
We're not planning on doing that here.
And Corey says, unless we do something you don't like.
You would have to really fuck up for that to happen.
What does that mean?
Try to break free.
Yeah, you would have to try to break free. Like short of breaking free, you guys are able to do whatever you want. You can talk to Dern about what he is able to do with us.
And do you own Dern? He looks at
No.
you and Dern.
Ostensibly.
Are you lying to them now with their ostensibly?
No, I said ostensibly. I said kind of, but not really.
You don't own Dern in any sense of the word own. So you make a bluff check if you're trying to lie to them.
Alright, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I own Dern.
They both believe you, but Dern said no. So they
No,
look back
listen.
and forth at you and like
Listen. The queen owns me. We both work for the queen. He can sort of issue orders.
they both go, "Why the queen?" And they look again at you, and you're wearing a suit with a sword on your back. You seem to be well taken care of, and you've talked as if like you're living a decent life. It's how you've talked to Bob. Like the queen owns you,
Yeah.
and they seem somewhat impressed and terrified. It's an interesting mix.
I work hard at what I do.
What is it you do for the queen? 'Cause I don't understand why you'd be here. You're not in the
The harem
castle
of
or
the...
whatever. You're not in whatever it is.
Tale for another day, my friend.
Okay, and you can tell Corey is much more bolder than Rona is, and Corey is asking questions and is interested in what's going on. Rona is just like, don't fuck up this good. It seems like we got an okay thing. They handed us a goal. They told us we're going to be all right. Don't fucking rock the boat. But Corey is much more inquisitive. All right. Anything else you guys want to do? You have finished your real estate transaction. You now own a piece of property in the 5 favors.
I think we should let the rest of the party do some shit, so...
That'd be nice, yeah.
Chris says no.
No, continue building your Chach distillery. So yeah, so you're also going to have to at some point buy tanks and whatever the crap else goes into distilling Chach.
Well,
we can hand wave all that.
We'll hand wave a bunch of that, but also, like, I'm certain that I can also just, like, grab some more slaves to build a fucking barrel. It's not that hard.
Is it just a barrel? You don't need, like, actual... There's not, like, actual knowledge.
We have to talk to Nero first.
This is Chris asking Michael, do you have any idea how these things are made? The things
in real life, yeah.
Okay, so again...
No, Bob has no...
So again, Bob does not know what he needs to do. The slaves you're buying don't know what to do. Someone at some point is gonna have to know what to do.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that with a prayer. Probably not this session.
I mean, you've got a guy who can, like, roll his eyes back in his head and know anything at any time.
Yeah, no, we gotta talk to him first, and then I'm gonna have to go find God again. Don't worry, we got it.
Let's do this. Let's do this offline.
We'll handle the rest of that. You've bought your property, and you're going to get this off the ground supposedly. So jumping back to Lawgiver's Rest, Nero and Vors and Maisel, you go out to breakfast. Are you looking to do anything or any RP you want to do there?
No, Vors is just like... Vors isn't going to try to drive the conversation or anything. He's basically just spending time with her to build rapport.
Okay. Toss me a diplomacy check for just casual conversation. And Nero, you feel the same way, or what is Nero talking about?
Yeah, I'll just wingman him.
Okay. Yeah, so you do an excellent job winning him. So again, Maisel seems genuinely interested in you, Vors. Make a sense motive check also to see if you can read what's going on.
+3 on all these.
Because you're studying her, of course, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so you believe that Maisel had a really good time last night with you at drinks and also everything that happened post-drinks. And she's genuinely interested in you. You do notice that she is talking to Nero a lot. She seems interested in Nero, not sexually or anything like that, but just in general, like as a lawyer, as a barrister, the kind of things that he's been doing. Kind of a lot like Ursula was interested in him. She asked him some specific questions about the stuff he did in Cantaria. And again, he's citing all of this Chelish law, even like pre-Thrune Chelish law, like hundreds of years ago. He's like, this thing is the reason halflings can be free here, or this is why I have the right to do all this. And she's like, how did you know about that? How did you, like, you were in Backwaters, you were in Longacre, you were in Cantaria, you didn't have the Library of Agorian to fall back on. How did you know these things? You're on mute, Nero.
Most of my life, all I've done is read, and all I did was draw conclusions based on what I've read.
Where have you read?
Nero will name, basically, he describes the crumbling manor house where he grew up, and then he talks about being at the Midnight Temple, but failing out of the Midnight Temple, and then being sequestered at the library of an old wizard in Agorian, and then at the God Claw.
And she's basically enthralled by everything you're saying, and just your history is very interesting to her. And she's like, I've only been to the courts of Agorian, the libraries of Agorian. Some of the stuff you've cited was not even in the texts. Like, I could not find references to them.
Being in protected libraries has privilege to it.
Yeah, so she nods along, and again, Vors, you kind of get the impression that she's very interested in the work Nero is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have breakfast, and you said you had an appointment at 10, so she understands, and she's gonna head off to Whipcrack to do her work. Unless you guys want to do anything else?
If she's like constantly pushing on that, like, Vors would just say, like, just ask her, or like, basically, like, you seem very interested in this, like, I mean, is this or like I guess like I don't know. You basically just try to ask like why she's so interested in it and not be obvious about it because, god damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to feel out what her interest is. Got it.
Yeah.
Toss another diplomacy check. And she looks at you and she says, "Just the everything he's found. You know, again, it's so interesting the way he's weaved this case together. All of the things he's doing, it's amazing." And we kind of get the vibe from her that it's the same sort of thing that Ursula was saying, that like he's bending the law in such a way, like he's built an unbreakable case. He's done all these things. He's quoted all of these old ancient laws, and built this case. And it's astounding to her that he was able to do this.
Okay. All right, yeah, if she's not gonna budge on that, then just wrap up and head out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so she's going to head out, and you're heading out, and Nero, you're going where? Back to the Lugger's Rest?
Nero will walk with Vors for a hot minute and just basically. So what's the end game here?
Maisel?
Yeah. Are we using her to break the warehouse? Are we? I don't quite follow what's going on.
This is Chris asking Joe or Michael or Mike. What? I can't remember. What's the time? Like, is Vors helping out because Dern approached him to help out with the Bellflowers, or is there another hook into the Bellflower Network thing?
Dern is the only person that was actively asked to investigate the Bellflower Network. You guys kind of implicitly know about it. I think Blissey told you that she basically described the barrister. Like, so the barrister was at some point in Sonara, and was recruiting halflings there before the Glorious Reclamation showed up, and was basically like, hey, if you want to be free, this is, we have connections. And she described the same sort of woman, the blonde hair, the missing hand. But she said that everybody in the Fex household stayed. They basically told this woman to get out of here. We're very comfortable. We want nothing to do with this. But she did tell you all about it. Obviously, she didn't ask you to do anything about it. But Dern was tasked by his handler, Nastheratrix, to spy on these people. And then I guess Dern told you about it. And then during the conversation, you mentioned the barrister. You described the barrister. And Dern was like, "You know the barrister?" And you're like, "Of course I know the barrister." And then that's kind of where that's sprung off from.
All right. And this is Vors, and like just saying, like, I don't know, like thought it'd be good to get some intel on Bellflower Network if we could. But beyond that, like, I guess we could help Dern out, but
I think breaking the cell is a good way to get our names out there. Breaking up a cell in the middle of the capital, right under everyone's noses, on top of what else we've done, it's going to get us noticed.
For sure. So, I don't know. She doesn't seem to be cracking, so I was hoping to get like her to open a little bit more.
Okay, well, maybe a little more time, but yeah, if we know where they're staging this from, we might as well just break it all open. All right, I'm going to head back. You go do what you have to do.
All right.
Okay. So all you know about Ware right now is that she sells stuff at Whip Crack. She basically wanders around this open-air slave market selling contracts. And I'm pretty sure Dern told you about Clerk's Cloister. You went there. You talked to the bartender. So Dern believes that she goes to Clerk's Cloister somewhat regularly, a couple times a week. And Dern observed her receiving like a secret note, basically under a napkin.
Didn't the party go check out the warehouse too, and it was empty by the time they got there?
I think that was last night, and you guys went to the warehouse because Dern apparently didn't tell you about the warehouse full of halflings.
Alright.
And you went around it, and Nero walked around and was scouting. There aren't a whole lot of windows in the building because it's a warehouse. And you guys did not see anything going on inside.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Vor's to get rid of the head, so he's gonna go do that.
Gonna do what, sorry?
Get rid of the head.
Get rid of the head, okay.
He's
Alright.
gonna go talk to Sethic.
Alright. So you begin walking to Sethic, and you and Nero have a conversation for a while, and then Nero, you split off, or what are you gonna do? Okay.
Yeah, Nero's just gonna bail back too.
Alright, so that was kind of the morning, and let's say that's all happening. So now it's the early afternoon, it's just after lunchtime, and Iwen is flipping through the tomes furiously. You're using skim magic and all sorts of other spells to move through these dense pages of arcane text. So you're moving again, you're flipping through them really fast, and when you see something interesting, you just like a machine, just absorbing all the knowledge, and you're flipping again until you see something that looks interesting. And as you're doing all this, you're gaining a lot of knowledge, but you're memorizing these runes. Like again, the ones you've sent out to be copied, like these priests are taking very extensive effort to like not mess up a single like curve on the rune. They're going very deep into it because, again, if you mess up one little thing, the rune is worthless. If you copy it wrong, you can't use the magic. But Iwen is flipping through these books with magical powers and is just basically memorizing all of these things, just glancing at them for a moment. And as you see this, you've got dozens of these runes in your head, and you're imagining them all around you as you're flipping through it, and you're basically watching them, not just the runes themselves, but also the magic that they invoke. So once you draw the rune, like they emit magic in fields. So you're basically just looking at these runes and the fields they create, and you're imagining like putting them together and rotating them and putting them this way, putting them that way, seeing what happens, and watching them as they repulse, they push, they pull. They're all doing all these things together, and you're trying to figure out what was Visperthul doing, what is going on, and you've been studying this for days at this point. And you're like, you feel like you're very, very close, but every time you arrange the runes, you're like, this has to work. This has to be the configuration. And you watch as it blows apart. Like, this doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. Why doesn't this work? And you keep putting them back together again. You keep trying different configurations, turning it this way, putting it like this, pushing this puzzle piece a little too hard, and then it shatters. And you keep doing it over and over and over again until you realize that the system is unstable as a whole. That's you can't just put it together and have it work. There has to be an active hand observing and changing it all the time. And as you're putting everything together, it just clicks. And that thing you were kind of getting the feel of yesterday makes total sense now. Like, there has to be an active, conscious entity observing the magic as it's happening and slightly changing things all the time. You can't just make this happen and have the gate spit out devils in your name. There has to be some sort of entity with the knowledge that you now have, basically tweaking things as they happen, all the time, constantly sitting at the gate, tirelessly doing this magic, or else it will fail. So you believe that you've figured out what's going on, you've understand this configuration, how to arrange all the runes, but someone has to be there all the time doing it, and you presume that was Visperthul previously.
Okay.
You believe you cracked this. It's a very fragile system, but you believe that you have now all the knowledge of these books that you're going to have.
Okay. So, Iwan will, at that point, as she's like discovering it and kind of makes the realization and then starts to feel confident, cognizant of the fact that she's still being observed, she will pretend like she's still kind of like working it out. You know, like she'll still be doing the motions, she'll still kind of be like pretending like she's really close, but like, you know, not quite there yet. And like, all right, I've been doing this for hours, I'm going to take a break. So she basically like puts it down and goes to try to find Nero again.
All right. Toss me a bluff check to pretend to keep doing it after you believe you've solved it.
Sure.
All right, and you go to find Nero. That's pretty good.
Was that a secret check, or did I not even see that one?
He
Oh, no,
roll-
it's right there.
you roll,
It's
yeah.
it's at the bottom.
All right. So you do that, and you go to find Nero. And again, things you do believe is that the creature that is doing whatever they're manipulating needs to be sufficiently powerful. You believe that them being lawful aligned would help, so a devil or an archon, or even just a regular humanoid that is lawful aligned in some significant way. They need to be physically present at the gate all the time to be doing this, and have to at least have some understanding of what's going on. So you can't just have like any devil sitting there pushing a button. They have to understand, like it's very complicated. They have to understand what's happening and what's wrong, and move this over here now because that has to happen.
Yep.
Okay, so you go out, and let's say Nero is back by now because they had breakfast, and now it's a little bit after lunch. So yes, they're here.
Okay. They're here, like in the lobby, or is Nero in his room?
What would Nero do upon returning to the lawgiver's rest?
You're muted, by the way.
You missed me saying, he'd probably just saunter around between the common room. If the common room is too loud, he'd probably go to his room. He probably would check in on Iwan, to be honest.
Okay, that would be even better. So let's say that happens. So when Nero gets in, Iwan will kind of like pause him for a second before he even starts speaking, and will begin to cast a spell. And some language. So she'll stand here, and on the back wall over here, Nero will start to see some writing appear on the wall. So let's see. So this guy, and she'll sit there concentrating basically with some words that are like, "Did you find the answer to my questions?"
Nero will step out of range and be like, how do I tell you?
This can't be seen, right? I'm far enough away from the wall that those words can't be seen.
You believe, based on your understanding of scrying, that the people scrying and you cannot see the image, but you believe they can hear Nero. Even if Nero walks away, the sound that carries to you can be heard by them.
Understood, but they won't know what he's saying. Like, they can't see the words.
True,
So,
they can't see your question. They can hear his answer,
Right.
theoretically.
right. So she'll explain that. Like, that can't be seen. You can speak.
So Nero will basically thumbs up, like, start doing that, and I'll start saying what I know.
Okay.
And I'll start
So
signaling what I know.
Yeah, so basically once he implies that he's got the answers, she'll display the questions that she wrote on the paper on the wall and like scramble yes and no as A and B to like basically like question and then answer A, B, no, yes, yes, no, like just scrambling it that way so that Nero can answer the ones that he knows the answer to.
Sure, and Nero will just, whatever he got out of those, you'll know.
So as Nero's explaining the answers he got, so when they first started, Iwan would have been like kind of excited to get these answers, and little by little, as he's going through and answering all the questions, she'll become like more and more almost confused and a little in part angry. And so when he gets to the question about, especially the question about if she gives the information, if they're are they going to stop scrying on her, and he answers with no, she'll check and she'll be like question 6, you're saying that's B?
Correct. Yeah, ask me if I know who.
Do you know who?
And Nero will give you a thumbs up.
So Iwan will be like, so she'll be like, so just to be clear, and she'll actually say this now. She'll be like, so just to be clear, you're telling me that, like, when I go and give this information to the Glorious Reclamation, they're not going to stop spying on me.
I thought we were keeping this under our hats, but
We
yes,
we were until that. And you kind of see, like, again, little by little, as she's getting these answers, like the excitement's kind of wiping off of her face, but now you're actually seeing she's like becoming almost incensed. Like, you can see just how angry she is to find out this information. She'll be like, can you, like, mime or something who this is that's doing it? Is there? So then Iwan will basically like go back to the wall and put kind of an image of the Planetar Angel on the wall, because she'll put two and two together and be like, so she'll kind of nod to herself and again like let out a big sigh, but kind of just, you can just feel the anger that she has finding out all of these answers, especially also finding out that, like, there's not this subgroup, the whole Glorious Reclamation isn't on this plan, because basically all of her assumptions now have been proven wrong. So she'll be like, okay, well then, no more playing by the rules. And she'll be like, do you? I have somewhere I have to go, and then she'll go back to the wall and be like, do you have any messages you need me to pass when I'm in Sonara?
Yes. Should I write something?
Yeah, write something, fold it up, get it to me in 10 minutes, and that's where I'm going.
How long are you going to be gone?
My plan is only for a day. We'll see.
So are you going to be back in time for this next party? Are you going to be back in time for if we decide to do that other thing with the...
None of that matters. This everything that's going on right now, this ends.
All right, maybe... All right, I'll write you letters. Maybe don't leave so hastily.
What else is there to do?
I don't know that we're going to be here in a few days. I don't know where we're going to be. I suppose you could use magic.
I know how to
find us, but...
I know how to contact you. Yeah, I'll find you if and when I need to find you. What I'm doing should not take long. Not if people know what's good for them.
Right. But if we go to break stuff up tonight, you're not going to be here, is what you're saying.
True. Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll get you a letter.
Okay. 10 minutes, then I'm gone. Right quickly.
All right, Nero, go ahead and write quickly. And as you're writing something to give to her, I will go over, for the benefit of our viewers, we did some divinations on Discord. Basically, we do that a lot, where Nero will write up his, like, 10 or 11 questions on Discord. So I'll read those as Nero is trying to figure out what kind of message to pass to Iwan. Do the leaders of the Glorious Reclamation know about the subgroup's plan to subvert the Inferno Gate? Yes. Do they plan to end scrying on Iwan once the information from the tomes is delivered? No. Has Betzel Hoon figured out our affiliation with the 3 areas of unrest, being Sonara, Longacre, and Cantaria? Yes. Does Betzel Hoon know that he's a Godclaw? And the answer was no, and the quill dragged across the page. Not officially. Does the faction that wants to seize the gate, henceforth known as the Gate Faction, plan to usurp power from the Glorious Reclamation? No. Is the being scrying on Iwan the angel that was her jailer? Yes. Has Batselhoon passed the location of the Glorious Reclamation up the chain? Yes. Is Kazire Kator still alive? And that is one of the tieflings that Iwan is that Nero is identifying as potential nobles of a all-tiefling Sonara? Yes, she is still alive. Will the Glorious Reclamation accept enslaving devils as a means to end the war? Unclear. I think that's all you asked. You had 2 other questions. You said you used one for your walk back. Is that accurate?
Both. Yeah,
Both.
both.
Okay.
Just
So you spent the other.
being omniscient about that sort of thing seemed unfair. So yeah, just.
Fair enough. Okay, so do you have a note to give to Iwin in the next 10 minutes?
Yeah. Do you want me to write something and I'll put it on the Discord, or do you want me to
Or
read
you can
it
just
out loud?
tell me if you want to tell what because I like
he
to
would write
follow
it-
Iwin's thread.
He would basically write a note with to rest to Wami and the Children of the Pit type people about possible leads he has about how having Ressi check in with him in Agorian might be a good idea. Their teleporter and see if they can't get something started in terms of like you need a masthead here. And that also that he might have found a benefactor at court that might be willing to send support.
Did you mention her by name or just the fact that you have one?
No, just that he has one.
All right. So you write the note and provide it to Iwin, and you're still determined to go now in 10 minutes time?
It's all that matters to her, so yes.
All right. Iwin teleports to Sonara.
Oh.
So she would tell, just to be clear, so that it worked out that you gave the note to those guys because that she was going to teleport into their little tavern.
Bam!
Can we get a teleport noise?
Sorry?
Can we get a teleport noise?
Do I have that queued up?
We need it.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't hit the wrong one. That's good. I need one of those things we talked about. I need the
I know, you're missing out. We've been talking about it for like 3 weeks now.
I should probably get one, yeah. All right. So yeah, you teleport specifically to the Mark Goat's Tavern. I guess I could load up this if I wanted to. Eh. But yeah, so you teleport here, Iwin, and the tavern. It's like afternoon now, so the tavern is mostly empty. But you arrive, and are you looking for anybody in particular there?
Basically, either Wami or Yalom, basically like somebody who has some authority over this tiefling area, but presumably Wami would be the ideal person.
Right. You do not find Wami, but you do find Levi. Not Yalom.
Okay, that works. So, okay, that works too. So Iwin would go over, and does Levi recognize her?
She does, and she looks at you. And again, the whole time you've known her, she's been nothing but disdainful towards you. And the fact that Wami even talked to you after the first time you encountered was just disgusting to her. Like, she wanted to see you just dead, bleeding in the sewers for violating their guild house. But after the prison break, she's begrudgingly accepted you. Like, you're the people that freed her sister. And you can tell that she kind of wishes she was the ones that were doing that, but Wami has some plan and ordered her to do this, and she's accepted you as somewhat competent.
Okay, so basically, Iwan's impression is that she's not, overly enthusiastic about her, or wouldn't feel indebted to her, or anything like that.
Perhaps minorly indebted, but you can tell that if she does feel that way, she's reluctant to show it and regretful that it's a situation she's in. She's composing herself as if, like, hey, I'm this big important person. Who are you? But you can tell she's happy that you did what you did.
Okay. So given that, I think Iwan would look for somebody who's a little bit more enthusiastic than that, like Wami. So basically, she would be like, hey, sorry, I don't have time for the typical pleasantries or anything like that here. I've come, I don't have much time. Do you know where I can find Wami?
And toss me a diplomacy check to see how well you smooth all that over. Yeah. So he's out. I don't know. He's somewhere in the Low District. I can take you around if you want. I don't know exactly where he is, but I have a couple of ideas. Do you want her to go with you, or do you want to just know where he is?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, so she'll go with you. And she takes you around, and you gonna make any conversation with her while you're walking?
Trying to think if Iwan would actually say anything. Maybe just like hey, thanks for doing this. Sorry to interrupt your day, sort of thing. But probably not much more than that.
Okay. Alright, so she basically, she asks why you're here, so why are you back so soon?
Well, I have a message from Nero, but I also have some of my own business that I'm hoping that Wami can at least give me some leads on.
And she asks, leads on what? Maybe I can help.
Let's see if we can find Wami first, but I think the less that I think the less you know, the better for you. Let's leave it like that.
She shakes her and says, I don't usually see it that way. What is that supposed to mean?
The business I have is not going to be all that clean, and I think you might not find it tasteful, so the less you know, the better. Let's see if we can find Wami, and if not, then I'll happily tell you and see if you can help me.
She raises an eyebrow, and again, she's got, she's full on devil. If you hover over her token, she's got, checkerboard face and these glowing orange eyes. She raises an eyebrow and says, You think I like it clean? And she says, How little do you know about me?
I'm not saying that you... I don't doubt that you are okay with dirty. I just don't think you're... I don't think this level of dirt is even for you. Again, the less you know, the better.
So using your diplomacy check, you do smooth that over, but you can tell she's very gruff and angry about that you don't think she can handle this. But she does have orders from Wami.
Just to be clear, Iwan's not trying to make it seem like she doesn't think that Levi can handle it. It's more you really just don't want to know about this. You want deniability, etc.
Okay, deniability.
That sort of thing.
All right. Well, she still seems nonplussed at all this. She seems not happy with what you've described. She seems to want to know, and as you're walking, you can tell that you're just making not even casual conversation. You're just kind of walking, and she kind of pokes at you a little bit, so what do you mean? What kind of dirt? And you're just not giving it up. And she takes you to a couple of different places. And again, you can tell that it's not this isn't 100% tiefling town now. There's still humans all over the place, but you see more tieflings here than you ever have. And it seems like a lot of the places you've been, maybe you've passed some of these businesses, maybe you bought bread or you've been to these taverns. It seems like tieflings are everywhere now. Again, not 100% of the population, but all of the businesses you pass and all the places that Livy is checking in looking for Wami, you seem like tieflings are running this place now. And she checks 3 different places, and he is in the 3rd place. So eventually you get over here, and you do find Wami, who is talking to the owner of a blacksmith.
Okay. So I guess Iwan would thank Levi for helping find him, and then say, do you think what's going on here? Do you think this is important? Has he been looking for this person for a while?
And she shrugs and says, I don't know, we need weapons. But he looks as, I think he'd be more interested in talking to you.
Okay. So Iwan would kind of mosey over to the conversation and position herself in a way that suggests that she's looking to talk to Wami. She won't immediately interrupt. She'll just see if Wami takes the cue.
Sure. Levi stands 10 feet behind you, but she is following you. She's not leaving, having dropped you off. And yeah, so Wami's talking to a blacksmith, and as he sees you walking in, he raises his hand and basically immediately stops the conversation with the blacksmith. You were certainly more important to him than the blacksmith. And he looks at you and asks, you bring word from Nero?
I do. Can we somewhere more private for a discussion?
He says, of course, and you watch as him and Levi exchange glances. Make a sense motive check to see if you pick up on what's going on there.
Sure.
Yeah, so you don't. And they exchange glances. All you notice is that, like, Wami looks visibly angry after a few seconds, and Levi huffs and walks out of the door. So you don't pick up exactly what happens, but I'm sure you can kind of infer some of what happened. But yeah, so Wami takes you, and you leave the blacksmith, and he waves to the guy and says, I'll see you again later. And he goes to a tavern where they just basically walk into the back room of a tavern, and it's just you and him. He says, what news do you have?
So I have a note from Nero. I'll admit that I don't know what it says, and she'll kind of like just quickly hint at some of the things that she knows Nero has been doing, like basically all of the word he's been putting in Agorian to start actually like making some of the plans that he had previously spoken about with Wami and the gang more real. And so she'll be like, I don't know all the details. I haven't been there for all of it. I've gotten some of it secondhand. I suspect Nero's carefully written notes will get into a lot of that detail. But if I can ask you, I actually have my own business that's more urgent. If you can start helping me with that first, and then we can get on to Nero's stuff shortly thereafter.
Okay. Are you handing him the note as you're saying this, or are you holding on to it?
No, she would give him the note.
Yeah, so he takes the note, and he pockets it, and he says, certainly, what's important to you?
So I have some business in the High District. I presume that you and the others here probably have some insiders there and have been cataloging information about Glorious Reclamation members and their locations and stuff like that. General information that will help you down the line when you complete the takeover here, as you should. Do I assume correctly about that?
Yeah, he nods and he smiles widely, and he's quite a charming person. He says, yeah, you seem to be on the ball there. Yes, of course.
I need to see those notes, if you don't mind.
And he says, oh, well, they're not written down, but like I could have people debrief you. What specifically are you looking for?
I just generally need to know, members, where they typically are, maybe ideally where they typically stay at night, things of that nature. Just, like any personal information that you have about people in the Glorious Reclamation in the High District.
Specific people, or what do you mean?
No, doesn't have to be specific people, just anything that you found about any of them.
Well, he says, well, there's hundreds of them. Like, you're not looking for anything specific? Any specific place, any specific person?
No specific people. I think what I'd like to know is generally just like, where do they stay? What does their family look like? Generally, personal information about their lives.
Wami nods, and he says, well, with that sort of generality, you might just want to hang out at the Marco's Tavern and talk to a couple of people there. We have spies throughout the High District, but, it's somewhat difficult getting information, but we'll see what we can do for you.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we can hand wave the rest of that, but basically, like as Iwin is getting that information, Jeff will just say that what she's trying to discern, and you can tell me how well she does it, is like where Glorious Reclamation, like some of the soldiers live, and if they have children specifically. Yeah, and I will warn everybody that this is going to get very dark. So brace yourself.
Bring Dern.
Alright. Okay. I took a note. I will do that. Yeah, so basically, because of how vague and general your questions are, he can't refer you to a specific person. He basically says, hang out at the Marco's Tavern, and I'll tell people to come talk to you. I'll
okay.
People that have information, the knowledge keepers in the organization, I will have them speak to you.
And is it okay if I stay, like, after I get the information, can I take shelter in there for the rest of the day into the night?
Of course. There's beds. Like it'll be arranged. Of course.
Wonderful, thank you. So as they're walking over there, if he wants to talk at all anymore about the Nero related stuff, she would happily disclose anything she knows to his questions.
Okay. So seeing that you're satisfied with what's going on, and again, so you went to a separate place, and he basically opens the note and reads it. He says, "This is good. This is good." And says, "Have you read this note?" You said no.
I've not. Again, I think I more or less know what's been going on. I do care very much about what's going on here, but ultimately it's for you to decide how compelling any of that information is.
No.
Not for me to tell you.
Says he mentions a patron. You know who he's referring to?
Jeff, think that Iwan is privy to this. I think last I spoke to him, he was kind of gathering information about several different potential patrons and is, doing his Nero thing, trying to pick the best one. But I don't know that he has picked anybody yet.
Did Iwan go to the Baroness with Nero?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So you can see Wami is somewhat displeased. He's unhappy that you don't know who the actual patron is. And he says, I'm wagering a fair bit on Nero's ability to find us patrons and to find us legal standings in the courts of Agorian. This whole thing falls apart if the Chelish nobles can just walk back in and take what they believe is theirs.
Agreed. But your safest bet will always be with Nero and his legal prowess. I've placed my own bet in that same pot.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. I hope he can do the things he claims to be able to do. And he walks with you for a bit back towards the Marcos Tavern. And once you're there, he tells the people in the area, it's kind of generally to everybody, to take care of you. And says, I'll be sending people once they check in. I'll send them here to talk to you. And then we'll handle that on Discord if you have any specific questions, or I can give you some updates on where the children are.
It won't be. It won't be anything more specific than what I just said. Yeah.
Understood.
And she'll try not to specifically ask that question, but just kind of again pry a little bit, hey, what else do you know about them? Where do they stay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have demographic information? So on and so forth. Just kind of trying to gather everything they have. Leave no details, no stone unturned, etc. So
sure, okay, yeah. So we'll handle some of that. I'll do some stuff on Discord. But again, you do find that the people that you talk to will have that information, but they seem kind of it's odd to them that you would want that. The kind of information they have is the guard patrols are like this and stuff like that. They're studying how do we take the high district, and you're like, where do they sleep at night? And they're like, I mean, I guess I saw this guy go here. What do you mean by that? And you're asking, well, does he have a wife, or does this guy have a husband? Does this girl have a husband? What's going on? And you're asking all these questions.
So as people as it goes further and further, and people are expressing more and more confusion, why do you want to know this, so on and so forth. Basically, Iwan will say something along the lines of look, I understand why you guys are confused, but you have to understand, soldiers, people, armies are not broken on the battlefield. They're broken permanently in other ways, and that's what I intend to do.
All right, toss me one more diplomacy check, and I'll give you a huge bonus because that's a great saying. Yeah. So again, you assuage all of their concerns. Again, you get the feeling that some of them are they don't understand why you're asking these questions, but you've adequately explained yourself, and everyone is totally on board, and they agree with you and believe what you said. So they provide as much knowledge as they can. It's not the sort of thing they were collecting. It's not the sort of fight they were thinking about having. But based on what you've said, they provide you all the information you want, and I'll add some stuff on Discord. So Iwan's there for at least most of Tuesday, if not the whole day. And we'll go back to the map of Agorian here. Hey, how you doing? Why not? Alright. How much time we got left? Got like 25 minutes. Alright. So Bob bought his distillery, Iwan did her teleporting thing, Nero was Nero for a little bit. Do I have anything else for Nero to do? Or we jump back to Vors? What else did you want to do today, Nero?
I mean, Nero's
Nero.
hoping to was hoping to root out bellflowers today, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. So.
Well, it's you and Vors are the ones left to do stuff, so I mean, what is Vors going to do with the rest of his day? We could say that the rest of the party's kind of back. So again, so you guys spent the morning doing that, so you're back around a little afternoon, and then you talk to Iwan, and Iwan teleports in like a little after lunch. So we'll say that Bob and Dern wrap up their real estate transaction, and again, let's just say it's like 2 p.m. and they get back. So everybody's at Lawgiver's Rest except Iwan.
And Vors is going to after.
Oh yeah, you went to Sethic, right?
Or do you
Yeah,
set
after
it?
breakfast.
All right, I guess we'll do that quickly then if we can. Yeah, so everybody else is getting back to Lawgiver's Rest, but you slinked off to Sethix, to Lazarus, and I will take you to that map. Boom, boom. I've been listening to the same music this whole time, so let's go to Lazarus music. All right.
Oh, it's Bob's favorite map.
It's Bob's favorite map. It's one of those maps that Bob loves. So you walk in, and at this point, the entire like serving staff and maitre d' at the place, they know who you are. They know why you're here. You're not looking for a table. So they wave you're one of the halflings, and they just kind of walk you back. But that's like a formality. You know where you're walking. Do you even stop when you walk in?
Yeah, I mean, like, you would make it at least appear that he's like a patron. Just so, like, in case there's anybody sitting at a table, like, he doesn't want to make it super obvious that, like, he's working with Sethic. So,
All right. Toss me a perception check while you walk in. You do notice that Phyllis, the half-elf rogue that Dern was talking to, is eating here. She's having lunch. She has herself, not a Hellboar's plate, but she has a plate of fine food and a thing of ale, and she's there with a couple of other people that you don't know.
who's that?
Phyllis, the half-elf rogue that Dern talked to last session a bit. I don't know how much Vors knows about her, but she's staying at Lawgiver's Rest with you. So somebody from Lawgiver's Rest is in the building.
That's awkward.
Okay. So you're walking to the place, and you're trying to appear as if you're just a patron, or and you notice this at the front, like at the front desk or whatever. So how do you play that?
I mean, are all the tables full, or are there empty tables, or?
There are empty tables, yeah.
Okay. Vors would basically just ask to, like, or say that he's here to like meet somebody for lunch. Like after noticing her, I would say he's here to meet somebody for lunch. Ask if they're here, and if they're not, because they aren't, then he'll be like, okay, I guess they should have been here by now. I'll go find them, and then walk back out, and then find a way in the back.
All right, make a bluff check to make sure you do that whole conversation. And as I said, the waitstaff know you, so let's see if they pick up on your bluff. They do. So they can tell that you're acting because they know what you're supposed to be there for, or what they believe you to be there for. And they rolled a 20 on their bluff check. So yeah, so they act in kind. So you can tell as you walk in, they begin to move as if like, oh yes, of course, go to the back. And then seeing you walk in and say, oh, is this person here? and they play it perfectly. They play the entire scene with you, and you leave through the front and try to find a way into the back. And there is a back entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in there, and it leads into a storage room, which eventually leads into the kitchen. So you find your way into the kitchen of Lazarus, where Thalgano Sethic is still there, sitting with Bist and Mr. Thorpe still.
Wars are just... Wars are just tell him it's done.
He looks up to you, and he's got a plate of, like, bland boiled chicken and rice. Nothing, like, fancy. He sits at this... He owns this amazing restaurant. He's eating, like, the blandest food in the world.
It's because his tummy gets upset.
That's
really.
correct. After his torture, his tummy gets upset, so he has this boring food. He says, "It's done? What do you mean it's done?"
The thing that you asked me about, it's done.
And his demeanor turns from the normal sourpuss to like a wide, toothless grin. He's like, "How?"
I'm not sure that's quite all that important. I mean, if you wanted to pay somebody to animate things, you could probably just ask him yourself.
Ask him himself? Ask him myself?
So Vors would like reach into the bag of holding and pull out the other bag and put it down on the table and just say, I'll let you do what you will with this. Probably don't want to open it here. It's against health code. It'll probably violate a few health codes.
Yeah, so you put it down and it's got a thump. Let's see what he knows about thumps. Yeah, he's been around the block a few times. So you put it on the table and he says, "God's above. Did you make it look like an accident?"
It wasn't my best work.
And he looks and says, he's staring at the bag on the table, and he sussed out what it is. Like, I don't understand. How is this an accident? He gestures to the presumed head on the table.
Well, it's going to look like a disappearance. There was very little, if any, evidence left.
What did you do with the rest of them?
The rest of who?
Gestures at the head.
Oh, yeah, it's. I mean, you have your pigs. We have other things that like to eat things.
He looks confused for a moment, but nods before shaking his head and says, "I don't know. I don't know if a disappearance is going to work. You think this is going to get pinned on Lavasvia? That was the whole point."
I honestly, like, there's enough suspicion, like, around her and her partners that him just being gone should be enough to, like, seed enough, like, rumors and do enough, like, PR damage to her.
Sethic doesn't seem very happy with that. He's like, I don't know. She's like, if he disappears, if there's no body, if there's no death, she's, she gets nothing out of it. Why would she? And you can see he's frustrated by what's going on. He's like, I guess with the rumors, but they weren't even married yet.
That's true. But I don't know. He was not easy to deal with, and it would have been next to impossible to make it look like an accident.
He seems surprised. Like, what do you mean? Like, he's struggling with his thoughts. Like, why did you have to cut off his head?
I didn't have to, but I figured there's still knowledge locked in there, and it's been preserved. And if you animate it, I'm sure he could still provide you a lot of information on Lavasvia and other people in Agorian.
You can see again. He looks frustrated. He's like, I don't need him from. I mean, you see he's weighing it in his head. He's like, I wanted this to look like an accident. I wanted this to pin her with this. I wanted her under investigation. I wanted the Condylatari. I wanted the Datari. I wanted the Order of the Scourge. I wanted them all coming down on her. And if he just disappears, if he just looks like he's run away to Isger or Nadal, that doesn't do anything for me.
In the short term, possibly. It certainly deals a blow to her, and that like her plan's going to get disrupted, and she's not going to be able to gain or take another step up. So,
perhaps, and you can tell that he's frustrating, and he's trying to do the mental math in his head now. He's doing the chess moves, trying to think of the long game. She'll find someone else. I'm certain of it.
And I'm sure it'll be easier to make it seem like that was an accident, because, dude, like, he was into some weird shit.
So you said before. I don't care much about that. It doesn't matter much to me.
All right. I mean, if you don't want this, then, like, I mean, what's done is done. If you don't want this head, then I'm gonna walk out. Like, I don't.
He waves his hand. No, I'll take it. It's just this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what we talked about. We talked about making it look like an accident. I thought.
You said you wanted him dead.
I said I wanted it to look like an accident.
Well, it didn't. It looks like a disappearance.
And again, you can tell that he's frustrated. He's happy that this happened, but at the same time, he's frustrated it didn't go as exactly like he wanted it. And he's trying to figure out how to play this the way he wants. But he's very visibly frustrated. Like, this isn't going to be like an immediate blemish on Lavastia's reputation. He's not happy with that. But he will keep the head.
All right.
Anything else you want to say to Sethic?
I mean, is there anything else that you'd like done?
Sorry?
Oh, is there anything else, like any other like dirty work that you'd like done?
He shakes his head at the moment. No. I'll contact you if anything comes up, but at the moment, no. I need to think. I need to think about this. And he watches his eyes go to the nondescript bag on his table.
Okay.
On this. I'll contact you if something comes up.
All right. Is there any way that you could help us out as we're like working towards similar ends?
What do you need? And again, he owes you a favor for this. Again, it didn't go as he wanted, but he did promise you a favor as payment for this. What do you need?
Seems like there's been some holdup with a case between like Nero, the case that Nero filed, and the Necropolis like estate, and it'd be good if that ended up closer to the top of the queue and went to court, so you could get a resolution on that soon.
Nah, I heard you were involved in that. You wanna push that to the top? You want that to happen soon?
Yeah. As soon as we can. Yeah.
What do you gain from that?
Nero has been a colleague of mine for a while now. And he and I have found the relationship that we have to be mutually beneficial. So if he succeeds, I succeed.
Sethic seems very interested in the fact that you believe that. You seem to operate like that. He looks at you and says, you're pissing off a lot of people. The Narcopolis are a powerful family. You sure you want to be? Are you involved in that? You sure you want to be associated with that?
I mean, like, I'm not sure why I need to be associated with it. Like, I didn't have anything to do with the filing, but
He nods. He says, "Yeah, but you're here. You're telling me. You're talking about it. Who else have you been talking to?"
it's just you and Nero. But I mean, it's already. If anybody looks at the records of what happened in Cantaria or Sonara or Longacre, like anybody with access to those files will know that Nero and I have been working together. So it's certainly no secret.
He nods as if, basically you've assumed he's read the files. He delivered a file to you, so he's certainly read whatever was in that. So he nods along. He says, "All right, I can see what I can do, but then we're square."
We're square.
Okay. Yeah. So he nods and says, "I'll see what I can do."
Thank you.
I'll take a note. Nero's case. All right. So Vors goes and leaves. So we're back to the map of Agorian. And it's now like the afternoon, like 2 p.m. or whatever I was saying before. We only have 15 minutes or 10 minutes left because I'm bad at time. So, what do you guys want to do? You go back to Lawgiver's Rest. There's not enough time to really jump into anything. What do you guys want to do in the late afternoon? Briefly, anything interesting?
Does Nero want to join me to report? Nero of House Nero.
That's at sundown, so you still got time for that unless you want to just fast forward several hours. But is Nero writing a report for you?
I don't know. I asked him to come or write a report, whatever he wants. If he wants to come, we should. I mean, maybe we can run it like ahead of time or something. If he's gonna write a report, then forget it.
Well, Nero can basically write a report and then go with you and give the guy a short rundown about why Dern, because of his brain damage, doesn't really give a good idea of like why are these people involved, and it's like because we know all about this from our dealings in Sonara, and like now the puzzle pieces fit together. So Nero would just basically make that clear to Nez Theratrix, and that like when we realized our interests aligned, we realized we could break this up together and both benefit.
Okay, so Nero writes that report. Bob, are you doing anything during the rest of the 3 or 4 hours?
Not really. No. Bob spent way too much gold today, so he's not really going to be drinking.
600 gold is not even a lot of gold for you.
That's a lot of gold. Bob's cheap.
You're still thinking like second level characters. Okay. And Iwin's busy. Vors, are you going with Nero and Dern?
I'm not sure. Nero, do you think you might need some more muscle?
Like Bob's muscles?
I don't think so. I think maybe figuring out a way to get more of Maisel might be a better use of your time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So Vors is going to go barking up the Maisel tree. We'll do that next session. Real quick, I could probably do a real quick Nas Theratrix meeting.
Bob wants to be there.
Oh, do you?
I don't know if Dern would let you do it.
All right, that's fine.
Just because he didn't like you. He would tell you.
He told me to keep the stick. Told me to keep my pimp hand strong.
He did.
I know.
He told you that Dern has been giving too wide a leash, and that this sass that seems to be coming back his way.
He's gonna cut your nose off. You gotta watch out, man.
Yeah.
Bob, I think he needs a more serious tone this time. But next time, please come with me.
Are you gonna take Nero with you? Who are you bringing with you?
Yeah, Nero of House Nero.
He's bringing Nerdo. All right, so you
I think he can do this.
You go to Parlay Circle when the sun is setting, and near a fountain you find Nas Theratrix.
I'll run up ahead, and I will go to Nas Theratrix and bow down and say, "Introducing Nero of House Nero." You know, put my
Nas
hands up.
Theratrix is a tall, gaunt man the palest flesh you've ever seen in your life. His visage is more nose than face, a crooked nose at that. And he's standing looking down at you as you bow. You prostrate yourself and become even smaller in his eyes. And he looks up and says, just, what? And he looks up to where you're gesturing to Nero. This is him?
This is the man. This is the man. This is the guy.
This is Nero of House Nero?
This is the guy that you should know about, and you don't, but now you do.
He's like, oh, I know about him. You told me about him yesterday. I started reading up on him.
All right, good books on you, man. He's got books, but hey, I'll let you talk to him. Let me do my thing here.
So he looks at you as if he wants to say something, but holds his tongue. And he looks at you, Nero. He says, how did you get involved with this fucking slip?
Well, first of all, here's this. This is a general reporting of how this all sort of fits together, why we would be involved in this. Dern didn't just fall out of the sky onto us. It's sort of our interests aligned. We got involved with him because there were bellflowers in Sonara when we were there, and they were trying to recruit house slaves to their cause. And someone matching the description of the individual he's tracking was the individual making ripples in Sonara.
He looks at you and he says, the one-handed woman?
Yes.
And he looks back at Dern as if, like, are you going to confirm that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How did you find out? How did you come to terms? How did you know what he was doing? And again, looking at Dern as if, like, why the fuck are you talking to all these people? But then back to Nero to answer the question.
I'm not exactly sure of the circumstance. I know that there was a lot of carousing at the Lawgiver's Rest that was going on, and I'm sure that some of what we were doing came up, and I'm sure that there's not too many one-handed abolitionists that would come up in conversation where people wouldn't start drawing conclusions together. So I think pretty much one of my colleagues brought up the one-handed abolitionist, or it might have been me, I don't recall, and Dern obviously seized on to that.
Okay. And that's all accurate. Dern didn't speak first, right? That is how it happened, Dern? Is that accurate? Who mentioned the one-handed woman first? Because Joe doesn't remember, and I feel bad.
I don't remember. No, dude, it's been forever.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to go with that then. Okay. Nero, you have a Thrune rune on you. Where is your Thrune rune?
My hand.
On your hand. All right. And as you're talking, let's just say he notices. Like, so you're moving your hands around a bit while you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he can tell you're not a trusted agent. You didn't take the next step, right? You chose not to. So you're a lower level agent, but you are loyal to the queen, allegedly. And you can tell, you can sense that he's noticed that. And you're making your case, and he says, I don't like this. And he looks at Dern. He's like, I don't like this. I feel like you've all been running your mouths. Who else was at this place? Like, when you were talking, who else heard this?
Well, at the table with us would have been just my colleagues, and Dern sort of fell in with us because he didn't have anyone else at the place. Yeah, as far as I know, the discussions about the actual woman were not in public. They've all been in private places, other than us bringing her up in conversation because we didn't know that this was part of his mission.
He looks at you. He's sizing you up. He says, and what do you think about what she's doing here?
I think she's breaking the law, and I think order has to be restored.
And you sincerely believe that as Nero?
Yes.
All right, toss me a diplomacy check for all that conversation. Yup. That's what you roll. You rolled a 12. Oh. Yeah, so you can tell again the whole time he's very skeptical, and as you're talking with him, he keeps like scowling at Dern as if like, why did you do this? Why did you like? Why am I talking to this person? And Dern, have you said anything other than like confirming what Nero's saying?
No, I'm literally like woodworking a figure of Nero as he talks.
So again, you can tell that Nostheratrix is just he's furious at you, but he's maintaining this decorum while talking to Nero. And as the conversation is going, that enragement that he has, that rage you sense in him, it's fading a little bit, but you can tell like he doesn't understand like why you had to talk to these people, like and presumably how quickly it happened. It seems like within the first couple of days you were talking to other people about your mission, your secret mission. But as as Nero's talking him down, he's basically saying like, "Oh, your interests align. We already knew about the barrister. We're doing all these things." And Nero believes that order must be restored, that this must be done. As Theratrix begins to calm down just a bit, and he says, "And so have you been following her then, or what?"
How public a place are we in?
It's Parlay Circle. It's a fairly public place, yeah. So people are walking by and stuff, and people tend to come here to talk. It's like it's a historical place where like treaties were signed here and stuff like that.
Okay, so Nero will basically he basically makes a colloquialism about one of our number is putting the screws to her, shall we say?
Hmm. And Nostheratrix laughs. Says, oh yeah? And he looks at Dern. Like, that's how this is happening?
Dern just goes like that.
Classy. So Nostheratrix laughs and says, I didn't think that would be the way in.
One of our number, that's where he really excels.
And he looks at Dern and says, which one is that?
Dern starts imitating like an archer, sneaking around.
I don't know if Nostheratrix knows who that is, but you've mentioned Vors by name, so he's basically like, which one of them is that?
Vors Eburnus.
Okay, he nods and says, okay. He says, so how many are there in your group you mentioned?
4.
And you have any other halflings? And staring daggers at Dern.
No. What? I'm going to break topic for a moment. What exactly did they do to him?
He looks at Dern. Him?
Yeah.
He's like, they found him like this. His old owners did this.
You know that there's gears missing from the clockwork, right?
He nods. And he says something was traded. They like the story is the queen found him at the fight pits in where did I say that was? Corentin? Queen says they found him in the fight pits at Corentin.
Dern overhears everything and starts imitating like his time in the pits.
His master said something that I don't know. It's all hearsay. They did some sort of ritual, and he says, well, you've seen him work, right?
Dern jumps in and grabs both of them, brings them close, and he says, they bonded us. And like his face, half of his face becomes the demon thing.
Yeah, now Nostheratrix doesn't like that. And he tries to jerk away as you're grabbing him. He's like, you've seen him work, right? And then he does this weird thing. And he just gestures like,
I just can't believe you'd choose him for covert work.
Slips are stealthy, or I thought they were.
I would never choose him for covert work. Breaking down doors, breaking bones, sure.
And you can tell, like, he shrugs, says, all he had to do was follow her. That's all I wanted him to do. I figured a slip following an abolitionist wouldn't be that suspicious.
I get the idea that to some degree he doesn't understand how trade works in terms of money exchanging hands for goods. So the idea that he would understand that seems a little out there. But anyway.
And he says,
Neither
I
here nor
didn't
there.
figure she'd be looking for slips.
Fair Fair.
This guy,
that's a fair
this guy
thought.
gets it.
It's a fair thought. Regardless, we're hoping for a quick resolution.
He nods. Says, as am I. As am I. He says, so what have you got? And he begins looking through the documents you've given him, but there's not like a bullet point list on the top, I assume. So he begins looking through it. What do you got?
So Nero will basically run down that we think she's part of this cell, and that we think the cell operates out of this warehouse, and that we think that we can, with a little more intel, that we can wrap it all up.
Okay. Yeah, and again, you can tell that he's somewhat frustrated, but you're wrapping it up in a nice package, and you're talking nicely to him. You've convinced him that you're working towards the same end. So he nods, says, "All right." So he's wrap it up quickly, like you said. Let's do it. Get it done.
Go team! And he puts his hand in.
Nas Theratrix does not put his hand in.
Sounds
He
good.
he looks at you with the little hand, and he just looks back at Nero. He says, "Get it done."
Nero doesn't leave him hanging. He sort of shrugs and.
Yeah, buddy. This guy gets it. This guy.
Nas Theratrix shakes his head. All right. Unless you guys want to say anything else, I guess we'll call it there. It's a little over what we said we'd stop at. So, MVP and morals. What do we got?
MVP Jeff for his evil scheming and rage.
Yeah, Jeff has been playing the mad scientist to the bone.
Oh, it's looking good.
That's a fact, yeah.
And Nero for being Nero, for being Nero.
Nero.
Yeah, I'd probably go Jeff on that.
Bob finally got his Judge Factory. That was like a big milestone for him.
You got the building.
Yeah, he needs the equipment.
You got a big loan.
I didn't take out a big loan.
He's bootstrapping.
We should
Fair
have
enough.
financed it, just so we're clear. Like, it would have made more sense to finance that if there is actually a revolution going on. We probably could have got a low interest rate.
Finance
Doesn't
the
matter.
equipment.
We still
You're
can.
assuming that the banking system there is like a modern banking system. We're talking about like you're walking in as a nobody off the street in like mid.
You have no credit.
England.
Yeah, you have no credit. You betrayed your god. That's like bankruptcy.
My God, listen, my God's coming back with fire. Don't worry about him. Anyway, all right, we've got morals here. I guess we got to vote for
Read them
that.
up. Read them
All
up.
right,
Bob.
whatever, it's fine. Everybody vote for the guy. Toggle : blood rage. Bob woke up pretty excited because of, the murders. It's diet freedom. Ad freedom 0. I'm just trying to make sure Bob doesn't commit tax fraud here. How can I help use these stupid things? That's nothing to a real estate agent, but he takes it. Peter, property owner. These people I roll with are different. It's whatever year it is. There is a back entrance. His tummy gets upset. Let's see what he knows about thumbs. I didn't, have to. You're still thinking like second level characters. And Nerdo of House Nerdo.
A lot of good ones there.
A lot of good Bob.
You're still thinking of second level characters is great.
You're still thinking like second level characters is a good one.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
with that.
All right. I will put it in the chat and also in the thing. Because I got yelled at by Bijo for not putting it in.
Session 54, no idiot points for Joseph.
All right. You're still thinking like second level characters. I'll put it in that room too. So also vote for MVP. I only have one vote so far, I think. Alright, I got 2 votes. I got a no wait, so someone's going to undo their other vote. All right, I got 3 votes. Dern's voted. Bob's voted. There's a lot of secret messaging going on. Iwan wins. Iwan gets the MVP. Congratulations,
Sweet, thanks,
Iwan, both on your role playing
that's
and
good.
cracking the tome. You spent several days doing it, and it is
Oh,
done.
yeah, all just to
Several
find out
real
that
days.
yeah, all just to find out that it wasn't going to make a difference anyway.
There's stuff you can do with it. I believe in you.
Well, she can do. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just go live at the gate, man, and run it yourself forever.
Or bind something and make it listen to you a lot. It's fine. It's gonna be fine.
I'll sell you. I'll sell you a slave.
Yeah, just put one of his halflings there. Spend 25 gold on a halfling. Leave it at the gate. Teach
Mark
it
it up.
arcane knowledge, and assume it'll always listen to you.
How long could it take, really?
Probably less than 2 years.
Yes,
Mr.
fuck.
Paul the Italian guy doesn't give a shit. Paul the Italian guy has his commission, and he's done.
Oh, I forgot to ask him if he knows Tommy.
Well, you didn't ask. It's true. You didn't bring up the Italian guy family at all.
Probably could have got a fat discount.
You mean Tony Italian guy?
Whatever.
Italian guy.
Tony Wingles. You can't.
I'm sure there's a Tommy Italian guy somewhere.
Tony, yeah, it was Tony Italian guy. You're right.
It was Tony Italian guy.
All right, that's it. Thanks for playing, everybody. Have a good time. Be Joe, we love you.
Hey, Joe.
Be
Joe.